let's talk about employees as one of those other key stakeholders that I think we should just run through, because again, I think employees are identified quite strongly as one of the key categories of persons impacted by external administration.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore driving the need for these simplified procedures. And if you have a look at the explanatory memorandum that's come out with the bill, that overriding philosophy is really apparent. So one of the safeguards against illegal phoenixing is said to be regulations requiring the business to ensure payments to employees and tax the ATO up to date. That's one of the eligibility requirements for the restructuring plan, and that's going to protect your employees first and foremost. We've talked about that before, and the difficulties for small business, how hard it is for them to come in and go, yep, that's all up to date, but I think I'm insolvent. It just doesn't happen that often. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not these regulations address that issue, because so many in the industry have certainly highlighted that as a potential problem, which is going to impact upon the take-up or the utilisation of the.
I think it really depends. Oh, sorry. I was saying, I think it really depends on, unfortunately, the crossover between policy and practicality. I can see that the reason that they've done this is because, as a lot of people who deal in insolvency matters would realise, if a company goes into liquidation, the employees of that company can access the FEG scheme, which is basically the government scheme that pays out employee entitlements ahead of time, and then stands in those employees' shoes in terms of the overall insolvency engagement. However, you can't apply for FEG if you're in administration. You can only do it when you're in liquidation.
Yeah.
So obviously there would be no way for FEG to look out for the entitlements of employees in this sort of small business restructuring regime. So they need to make sure that they look out for them in some other way.
Yeah.
I think that's how that's come about. So the issue as well there is looking at, we look at phoenixing, and I think that's right. ASIC obviously has its abandoned companies project, I guess it is, where basically they'll put in a liquidator if they think that employees have been left high and dry. The companies that haven't themselves gone into liquidation, but still have outstanding entitlements. So I think that it's very high, and rightly so, in the government's sort of purview to make sure that employees are looked after every step of the way.
Yeah.
But that will have its practical implications.
Yeah, that's right. And it's going to be how they propose to deal with this in the regulation. So let's wait and see.
Absolutely.